this is the thing. She says the word selfish today has very evil connotations, right?
Yeah.
She believes selfish should be a beautiful term.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
I recently read a book called The Fountainhead, which I thought was fantastic, by the way. Obviously a controversial book, but it was written by Ayn Rand, who, you know, was an American, but she wasn't born there. She was actually born in the Soviet Union. She fled that country to come live in America. And she was like really anti-communist. You know, she was like Thatcher before Thatcher. Like I'd be very interested to know whether Thatcher and Reagan ever read Rand or not, because her whole philosophy was there should basically be no government. And I wouldn't say she was an anarchist, but she was as neoliberal as you get. You know, she believed in free markets, capitalism in its extreme. You know, the less regulation, the better, really. You know, every individual should be free to be an individual, and not have to try and influence or control anyone else. Now, there are definitely problems with her thinking, you know. How great can an individual be if they're just an island? I think Ayn Rand overlooked the inevitability of community and teamwork that comes into things. We should have less government regulation, less government involvement, less taxes. She didn't believe in taxes.
Yeah, I don't believe in taxes.
Right. So, yeah, well, you're quite Randian in many ways. I don't think you've ever read her work, but when you speak, I hear Ayn Rand, weirdly. Steve Jobs was a famous Ayn Randian. So I just felt compelled to bring her up. And if you have any thoughts on Ayn Rand, do leave them in the comments below. It'd be really great to get your thoughts on that.
Well, the reason I agree with it is because it benefits me.
Yeah, right.
So like this is
the thing. She says the word selfish today has very evil connotations, right?
Yeah.
She believes selfish should be a beautiful term. And she thinks, you know, you should be selfish. You should look out for yourself. The criticism with Rand is if you only think about yourself, you get a very atomized society. You don't have society, you just have individuals, and it's unrealistic. I think everyone has a social aspect to them, as you know, but then again, I think that is very much based on usefulness as well, and how useful we are to one another. Well,
that's the thing, right? Is the thing is, as a person, right, you can't be selfless, right? It's like
no, of course not.
It's like, okay, we're both starving, I'll give you the food, right? It's like, who's gonna do that? Right?
Well, maybe a mother for her child, right, or something like that.
But like that's the scenario where it might happen.
Yeah, right? Or a father for the child, even. But
yeah, exactly. But it's such a like a crazy thing is, right? In China, when they used to have famines, they used to let their younger one die, the baby, because they put all the effort into the child that was older, right? And as us, from a Western sort of concept of thinking, we actually would be like, oh no, save the young one. But that doesn't make any sense if you've got one that's 18 years old, right, or 12 years old, that you put 12 years of hard work in, right?
Right.
And because like that's literally what happens in nature, is like the young ones unfortunately die. Yeah. Right. But it's the reason it's kind of related is because if you actually think about it from like Rand's point of view, like being selfish is kind of a good thing, because if you're not selfish, you're not putting your needs first, which means you're going to be a worse human being, right?
Right.
Which means you're eventually not going to be useful to anybody else.